Guys, Quentin here. Welcome to the Sherman Tech channel, and welcome to this video. Um, this is basically a video about the debate that's been going on in the war, and basically up to now, a long time after the war. So basically, in between, you can talk about ever since 1942. So basically, around 80 years, this has been going on, and that is about the debate: which tank is better, the Tiger 1 or the 75mm Shermans. I'm only talking about the short belt 75mm Shermans with the 75mm M3 L40 gun. Because I'm not including the 76 American ones and the Fireflies, because they basically, by a big gap, but that's a different video, outclass the Tiger 1 by a big gap, like pretty big gap. But that's basically a video for another day. Anyways, today we're basically tanks can score points on top speed, mobility, firepower, also efficiency in rounds. That basically shows that a round, basically, I mean with that how long basically the round that keeps its energy for the longest amount of time basically also gets a point. So basically, the round that loses less armor penetration across range also gets a point. So yeah, that's basically 11 things. So top speed, round efficiency, mobility, firepower, speed in reloading. So basically the tank that can reload the fastest also gets a point. Armor, maintenance, reliability, maximum effective range, maximum range that they can kill each other in, that basically gets a point, and easy to transport. So, basically, let's get into the top speed. I basically see you got Tiger 1 here and 75 Sherman there, and each put a stripe or half a stripe where basically every time they score a point. So on top speed, the Tiger 1 has a very respectable top speed of 38 to 40 kilometers per hour, which is already pretty good, like really good. However, the Sherman absolutely shatters that at the minimum top speed of 49 to 70 kilometers per hour. So the Sherman already scores a point. Then we basically go to mobility. Again, the Tiger has also probably really good mobility. However, the Sherman again shatters that again, because that's basically what they basically stood for. Absolutely great mobility and great just being around to great to drive around. So the Sherman is 2-0 already ahead of the Tiger 1. However, the Tiger will definitely score some points back in the next chart, of course. That is firepower. The Tiger 1 is fitted out with an 8.8cm KWK-36. The Sherman is fitted out with a 75mm M3L40. Let's put this up front. Both are amazing guns and just basically are fantastic. They are basically great. So anyways, going to start off with APCBC. The Tiger fires Panzergranate 39 APCBC at 10 meters or at point blank. This can penetrate 165mm of armor. The Sherman fires APCBC M61 round, which can penetrate 110mm of armor. So basically the Tiger now scores a point, being capable of penetrating 55mm armor more with APCBC round at point blank. Then, at 100 meters, the Tiger with APCBC penetrates 162mm. The Sherman penetrates 107mm. So each they lose 3mm of armor penetration at 100 meters. At 500 meters, the Tiger penetrates 151mm. The Sherman penetrates 94mm with APCBC. So they're actually starting to widen the gap a little bit, from 55 now to 56, 57mm even. So the efficiency of this round is actually slightly higher, 2mm more, already at 500 meters. So the Tiger scores another point within that. Then we go to 500 to 1000 meters. I'm sorry. Now the Tiger penetrates 138 millimeters there. As you probably see. The Sherman penetrates 81 millimeters. So the gap now basically starts to widen. 19 plus 38. Gotta calculate. 39 plus 13. I gotta calculate a little bit. But basically, that's 50. Again, stays again at 57 at 1000 meters. 57 millimeters in difference. 81 millimeters penetration versus 138. That's quite a big gap. At 1500, 126 for the Panther. 126 millimeters for the Tiger. Armor penetration. And for the Sherman, 70 millimeters. So we actually start to now narrow the gap again from 57 to 56 millimeters of difference. So the Sherman's round is now from 1500 is starting to get more efficient. Then at 2000 meters, the Tiger penetrates 116 millimeters. So, and the Sherman penetrates 62 millimeters. 17 millimeters. 62. I looked at the wrong chart a little bit. 62 millimeters. So the gap is now about 38 plus 16. I gotta calculate really, guys. It's already quite. I'm filming this video quite late. So 38. And now even start to narrow the gap from 55 to now 54 millimeters of difference at 2000 in between the two rounds. Then we go to 2500 meters, 106 millimeters penetration for the Tiger, 55 millimeters penetration for the Sherman. The difference is now about 51 millimeters. So even now we've gone from 54 millimeters to even down to 51 millimeters of difference. Still a huge gap, but still from basically what we now see here is from point blank to 1500 meters. The Tiger round is as efficient or slightly more efficient than the APC-BC M61. However, from 1500 to 2500 to even 3000 meters, the M61 shot is more efficient. So we basically look at also same as this. 3000 meters, 97 millimeters for the Tiger penetration, and 3000 meters, 52 for the Sherman. Now we brought the gap down from 51 even to 45. So basically now the basically at the first 1500 meters, as I said, 1500 meters, the Tiger's round is more efficient. However, from 1500 to 3000, the Sherman's round is more efficient. So the Tiger already got a point for efficiency. Now also the Sherman's round is going to get another point. There we go. Now the Sherman's only 1 point ahead. However, that will probably change. Then we move to the APCR, Pentagram 40. At point blank, the Tiger can penetrate a very respectable 225 millimeters of armor. The Sherman can penetrate with APCR T45 210 millimeters of armor. The Tiger gets another point. However, it's such a small difference. 15 millimeters, just half an inch difference. It's like it's so tiny difference. Then at 100 meters, the Tiger penetrates 220, the Sherman penetrates 205. So at 100 meters, they are exactly as efficient, basically keeping their energy just as well. At 500 meters, the Tiger penetrates 200. At 500 meters, the Sherman penetrates 187. Now we're starting to see that the Sherman's APCR round is more efficient, because the gap at point blank was only just 15 millimeters. However, we narrowed that gap even more at just 13 millimeters right now. So the Sherman again already at 500 meters instead of 1500 meters with the APC-BC. The APCR round already at 500 meters is already more efficient than the APCR round of the Tiger. As I said in my 75mm M3 video, this is a really good round. Like, it's really also a really good gun. It keeps its energy really well, and it's really efficient. So it's actually, this is an awesome gun and with an awesome round. Then we climb up to 1000 meters. For the Tiger, 1000, it's 179. For the Sherman, it's 166, still staying at the 13 millimeters. However, when we climb to 1500 meters, the Tiger penetrates 160 millimeters. The Sherman penetrates 148 millimeters. Now the difference is closing down even more, from 13 millimeters difference to 12 millimeters difference, which again shows that the T45 APCR round fired from the 75 M3 is more efficient. Then we basically come to 2000 meters. The Tiger penetrates 143 millimeters. The Sherman penetrates 133 millimeters. So we now narrow the gap from 12 even further down to just 10 millimeters. So now the gap is so tiny, even from already tiny, as I said, from 15, now even down to just 10 millimeters. Then we move to 2500 meters. The Tiger penetrates 128 millimeters. The Sherman penetrates 126 millimeters. So now we brought down the difference from just 10 millimeters to just 2 millimeters, which is just 2 hairs, which is just it. Sorry guys, the dog is barking and stuff. Is what you see. Now we move to 3000 meters. The Tiger penetrates 115. The Sherman penetrates 110. So there's only just 2 to just 5 millimeters of difference. It's just absolutely, it's basically nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So the Sherman scores another point for being having more of an efficient round. So basically that is basically for firepower. That's basically with APCR. Simply, there's almost nothing in it. However, with APCB surround, there's quite a reasonable gap, to be honest. However, when the power is really needed, it is there, because this APCR projectile flies at 2900 FPS or 885 meters a second. The Tiger's APCR flies at 3100 FPS or 930 meters a second. So it's only just 7% more powerful. 7%, it's nothing. 7% is nothing. Anyways, what we move up till then, we move up till basically speed in reloading. Which gun reloads faster? Because time is basically such an important thing on the battlefield, and the one who fires first basically wins. That's basically how it is. The Tiger already reloads in a quite respectable, I haven't written it down yet, but basically in a respectable time of in between 7 to 9 seconds. So that's pretty good. That's reasonably good. However, the Sherman again absolutely shatters that, reloading in just 3 seconds or 20 rounds per minute. 3-second reloads, that's nothing. It's like also what they were saying in a documentary, like bang, bang, bang. It's just to this amazing fire rate. In the time that the Tiger could have shot 2.5 to 3 times, the Tiger could have shot one time. The Sherman could have already shot 2.5 to 3 times, which is there's no competition in reloading rate. So the Sherman gets yet another point. Then we basically move to armor. Now this will absolutely surprise you. So we're going to start off with the hull armor. We basically, before we go and test that out, basically have 2 different types of Shermans. This is one of the most common Shermans, with a 51mm front plate, sloped back at 57 to 60 degrees, which gives an armor thickness of 95 to 105 millimeters. And even there on the gearbox cover, they've got 108 to 110 millimeters of armor. So the front is basically protected in between 95 to 110 millimeters of armor, which is absolutely amazing. You also have this, one of the latest Shermans with the large hatch. This is this particular model. This particular model is a Sherman M4 from Tamiya 135th, just so you know. And this is a large hatch M4A2 75W from Rubicon 156 kilo. This basically has a 64mm plate, however, slightly less slow back at just 47 degrees, which gives an effective thickness of 95mm. And on the gearbox, even 110mm, as I just said. So these basically have 95 to 110mm. These also have 95 to 110mm. So basically really good. For the side armor, it's basically 40 to 65mm. Rear is 45 for the Sherman. Then we have the Tiger. On the whole front, we've got 100 in between 102 to 110mm. So it's basically a dead heat on the front of the hull, basically in terms of protection. So we're each gonna give them a point. For the sides, however, and the rear, the Tiger has 82 to 85, which gives basically 35 to 40mm more thicker. So the Tiger gets it for side armor there. Then we move to third armor. The Sherman has in between 145 to 90 to 165 to 195mm. And that basically has to do with basically the whole thing. This tiny bit of the Sherman turret is just 90, and this side normally. Where the mantlet is basically got a 55mm mantlet, basically effective thickness, and behind that you got another 90mm. So that basically is 145mm. And even if you slightly wiggle around, you basically get even a thickness of 150. So basically between 145 and 150. Then you have Shermans which have this part of applique armor. Then the thickness increases to 165 to 195mm, which is pretty good. So again, also the sides are 51mm and the rear is 51mm. The dog's starting again to bark again. Sorry. Basically for the Tiger, you've got in between 140 to 120mm. So for frontal armor, the Sherman wins on this point, on the front of the turret. However, on side armor, the Tiger, and rear armor, the Tiger wins. There. So each basically score a point. Not bad, for both tanks. So that's what we also really didn't expect. Because normally also in these documentaries always say, oh, the Sherman has bad armor. No, it actually has on the front even slightly more than a Tiger 1. And just as much on the front of the hull, so it's exactly the same. However, the difference just lies in the side and rear armor. That's the only difference, really. So, that was basic armor. So I'm going to grab my sheet here. Then we go to ease of maintenance, which is also a very important fact when you're in a war. And that is basically, as you all know, that is the Sherman, because basically, even in a war, they could change the gearbox basically within 2 hours, whilst the Tiger took a whole day. So yeah, ease of maintenance is definitely to the Sherman. Then we go to reliability, and again the Sherman does score a point, because the Sherman was a very rugged and very reliable tank, whilst the Tiger was also very strong, but however kept having gearbox failures and all of those niggly things, because it was basically over-engineered, let's say. Then we go in max effective range. That's basically the max effective range if you see a target that you can actually hit it properly. Basically for the Sherman, this is 2100 meters max effective range. For the Tiger, it's 2500 meters. So the Tiger does score a point. However, again, there's not too much difference. It's 400 meters, but when you're at 2 kilometers plus, that doesn't make much difference, really, to be honest. Then we go to max range of which they can kill each other at. The Sherman basically can kill the Tiger with the APCR round at basically even past 3,000 meters, probably at 3,200 meters if you can hit it at that range, because then it becomes, even a tiger as big as a tiger becomes so tiny then probably at 3,200 meters. The Tiger can basically penetrate the Sherman at about 1,700, and with that round at about also 1,700. So the Tiger can basically kill a Sherman at about 1,700 meters, because this armor, especially because it's angled, it heavily reacts against APCR on, because normally the thickness, as I said, is about maximum 105 millimeters if you shoot right on here. However, when you're using APCR round, the basically effective thickness goes up to 150, and probably see at 1,500. The Tiger can penetrate 160. So yeah, that basically is between 1,700 and 1,750 meters. However, the Tiger, not having this issue basically, as just this flat piece of armor or this, basically between 3,000 to 3,200 meters basically. So basically the Sherman does score a point in this. You probably wouldn't have expected that, but yeah, that is basically how it goes. There you go. Sherman scores another point. So then we have ease of transport, and I'm sorry again, because with the Tiger you basically have to put on whole different tracks to put it on a rail car, whilst the Sherman, like this, put the gun lock on it, just drive it on, strap it down, it's on there. It's only 2.6 meters wide, but so it can fit on a rail car. So again, the Sherman has a point. So that basically sums it up. You probably wouldn't have expected this, however, the Sherman is the better tank, and actually by quite a bit. The Tiger scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points, which is quite good. However, the Sherman scores 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's a big gap. The Sherman actually quite easily made this. You probably wouldn't have expected it, but this is basically the truth. Anyways, guys, that was Quentin. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.